that shook every street corner, workplace, and home. Cyril Ramaphosa, the man many thought would cling to power until the last second, is gone. Not tomorrow, not next month, gone today. This is not a rumor. This is not whispered speculation in smoky rooms. This is reality, raw and undeniable, unfolding in real time before millions of stunned citizens. The morning began as usual. Mothers tied their children's school shoes. Half-awake fathers scrolled through their phones before work. Taxi drivers were stuck in traffic, radios humming with morning talk shows. Old men drank rooibos tea on their verandas. It felt like just another day, until suddenly, it wasn't. Within minutes, the wind seemed to change direction. Phones began to ring simultaneously. Every radio channel broke the script. Every television anchor's face turned pale. Social media feeds, usually filled with jokes, gossip, and football debates, exploded with the same inevitable headline. Imagine the moment: quiet kitchens, crowded taxi ranks, office cubicles, classrooms, all froze, as if the entire nation had taken a sharp breath and held it. Some gasped, some cheered, others simply stared, unable to believe the words glowing on their screens. Because this wasn't just news. This was history tearing itself apart before their eyes. Inside the Union buildings, the scene was just as surreal. Marble passageways that once carried the confident steps of power now echoed with disbelief. Advisors, ministers, and staff members were frozen, their eyes glued to phone screens. Some discovered the news as the public did, through flashing alerts. Others heard gasps in the hallways before their own devices confirmed the unthinkable. The air grew heavy, whispers drifted like smoke, and phones rang in frantic panic. Allies called allies, seeking lifelines. Rivals called rivals, savoring the chance to strike. A storm was brewing, quiet on the surface, violent beneath. This was no carefully choreographed transfer of power. This was sudden, merciless. And when Ramaphosa finally appeared on television, his face calm, his voice steady, the world saw peace. But those who knew him recognized the truth, the trembling of his hands, the weight in his eyes. This was not an easy decision. For years, he carried storms on his shoulders. The ANC itself had become a battlefield, clan wars tearing it apart like wolves over a carcass. Scandals plagued his presidency, none more damaging than the hidden cash scandal at his game farm. The energy crisis plunged cities into blackouts, forcing families to eat by candlelight. Unemployment robbed fathers of dignity, graduates of hope, and families of stability. The economy wheezed like a patient gasping for breath, while poverty tightened its grip. Through it all, Ramaphosa had stood tall, or tried to. He was a negotiator, a patient man, one who calmed chaos in apartheid's dying days. But even survivors reached their limits. The signs had been building for months. Quiet discontent in the ANC turned into arguments, then ultimatums. Election results delivered the unthinkable. Mandela's party lost its majority for the first time in history. The once unshakable giant was humbled, forced into fragile coalitions with smaller parties, deals tainted by betrayal, daggers hidden under the sheets. Outside, the people's anger roared. Rolling blackouts became more than inconvenience, they symbolized failure. Protesters filled streets, students marched with placards, workers left factories, the unemployed chanted with empty bellies. Patience was gone. So today, Ramaphosa let go. Not with fireworks or fanfare, but with the heavy silence of a man who could no longer carry a broken system. In his farewell, he spoke softly, wrapping his departure in the language of sacrifice. He said it was not about defeat but about love for South Africa. To some, it sounded dignified. To others, hollow, a leader's last attempt to control the narrative. They saw surrender, not sacrifice. And behind closed doors, whispers told another story. Coalition partners had already lost faith. Business leaders warned of disaster if uncertainty lingered. Rivals in the ANC sharpened their knives. Perhaps this was never his choice. Perhaps the decision was signed and sealed long before his speech. Now the ANC faces a moment unseen since 1994. For decades, it ruled like an invincible force. But today, its image is crumbling. Opposition parties circle like predators. The Democratic Alliance positions itself as the steady hand of stability. The economic freedom fighters shout of revolution. Smaller parties linger in the shadows, bargaining influence like traders. Parliament no longer feels like democracy's home. It feels like an auction house. Meanwhile, the nation watches. In Soweto, young people beat drums and cheer, dreaming of broken walls of power. In Cape Town's glass towers, business leaders worry about markets collapsing. In rural villages, people sit under the sun, hopeful someone will finally listen, fearful that new leaders will only recycle broken promises. Social media burns like wildfire. Memes mock the fallen president. Students debate in lecture halls. Taxi drivers shout politics through traffic. Families huddle around small TVs, eyes wide, ears strained. A president once hailed as reformer is gone. A party once blessed with Mandela's spirit stands exposed. Yet within the storm lies possibility. South Africa has walked through fire before. It survived apartheid, corruption, and ruin. Resilience carried it forward. That same resilience is being tested again. But this moment is larger than one man or one party. It could be a turning point, a chance to demand accountability, a culture where promises mean something. But it will not happen by miracle. It depends on ordinary South Africans, mothers, workers, students, who refuse silence and demand change. Because if this moment passes quietly, it will be just another betrayal. And so, as one era ends, the real question begins. Will South Africa write a new chapter of hope, or remain trapped in cycles of despair? Think of the generations yet to come. Children will one day open history books and ask, where were you when Ramaphosa resigned? How did you feel when the ground shook beneath South African politics? Did you cheer, mourn, or watch in silence? Historians will not see it as another resignation. They will see it as a fracture, a turning point. Whether destruction or renewal, that answer rests not in the union buildings, but in the streets, in classrooms, in crowded taxis, in boardrooms and villages. Today, South Africa opens its eyes to a new reality. The president is gone. The ANC is exposed. Fear and possibility fill the air. The pages of history lie unwritten, waiting for the ink of the people. The choice is here. The choice is now. The choice is yours.